All right, once you have your 3 phone holder parts drawn, it's time to start the assembly. This video will walk you through that process. I'm going to open up a new standard IAM. And I'm going to go ahead and start by bringing in my first part. Now, the part I bring in is going to be, let's find my folder here. I think the part that makes the most sense is the center support. I want to bring that one in first. So I'm going to click open. And when I right click and go to home view, I can see how it's orientated. If you need to rotate it around to get it to look like this, please do. You can right click and rotate by 90 degrees using any of those axes. Once it looks like this, place grounded at origin. I'll right click and OK. This part has 0 degrees of freedom. It doesn't move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build around it. And I'm going to add the upright support. I'll go to place. There's the upright support. Again, if we need to rotate it, please do. And I'll bring it in. Now I'm going to use a series of mates and flushes to get this to constrain. I'll start with a flush constraint because I know the bottom and the bottom should be flushed. Another mate that I know is true is that if I go to mate, the back of this should touch the back of that. I have 1 degree of freedom left, and that is this side-to-side motion. This is where sometimes it's handy to use, instead of surfaces, so instead of using this inside surface and that inside surface, what I can do is I can use edges. I can use corners. There's a difference between a surface and a corner. I can tell these corners to mate, and you can see how that assembles. This has 0 degrees of freedom. It does not move. And so now we're going to bring in the leg. Looks like it's a little bit, it's backwards. So I'm going to rotate it in the y-axis. Okay. Now this leg is going to sit at an angle. It's going to rest along this surface, that angled surface. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mate that edge to that. And now I know that the leg is in the right spot. See how it's evenly placed along that edge. And now I'll focus on the tabs. There's 3 tabs that lock this into place. And if you focus on one of them, hopefully everything lines up. Okay. Now, the thing you have to realize is that the end of this red tab is not going to be flush with the outside of the leg because the leg is sitting at an angle. So we have to think about how it's actually sitting. And I know for a fact that the top of this is going to touch the top of this. Okay, so I'll apply that. That looks good. I have 1 degree of freedom left. It's going from side to side. And I'm still going to just focus on this tab. And maybe, I don't know if, there is, just by the way that it's designed, there's a little bit sticking out here. So I can't use the corners. I couldn't constrain corners because they're not going to touch. But what I could do is I could mate this corner with that surface. So you can use corners and surfaces together. And that should make all of your tabs line up. Take a look at it. If it looks like it is obviously off, you might have to redo some of your dimensions or go into the leg or one of the other parts and modify it. But once you have the other leg assembled and put on here, you are ready to go on to the next step. So that is the phone holder assembly.